So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at today's webinar, Managed Services, Why It's Important to You and Your RPA and AI Automations. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. So a little overview of Camtech software. We are a full lifecycle RPA SaaS provider with proven results, implementing and supporting automation solutions through our successful methodology that we'll go over a little bit later. We are a global company. We do have developers, project managers all over the US as well as the world. So we do offer that 24/7 support at a lower cost of entry, and our approach is approachable and simple. So a little bit introduction. My name is Gretchen. I'm the Director of Customer Operations for Camtech Software. I graduated Northeastern University a handful of years ago. I've held a variety of roles in student experience and academic advising, and that brought me to Camtech Software a couple of years ago. So I've been working in this capacity for about 3 years now, really loving the work and enjoying working with you all. So I'm going to let Peter and Dennis introduce themselves.
Sure. I'm Peter Camp. I'm the founder of Camtech. I've been in this space upwards of 20 plus years, developing commercial software in and around automation and using RPA. Started the company about 6 years ago with a focus on support and really trying to add value and manage these very complicated pieces of technology, AI and RPA in particular. And really happy with the clients we have right now, where we're going as a company, and really proud of my team that I have today and everywhere around the world.
Hey everyone, Dennis Stone. I started in IT what seems to be a lifetime ago, and when Windows 95 launched, I've held many roles in administration and also architecting. Got into machine learning as a side passion in 2017, and that ultimately led to doing some work with Peter, and then starting with Camtech a couple years ago now.
Awesome. Thank you for those intros, Dennis and Peter, and we'll be hearing more from you as our PowerPoint presentation today in our webinar continues on. So today we want to talk about managed services, particularly in the RPA and AI space. Here at Camtech Software, we do offer our managed services platform, which includes the following 5 items that we will go more in depth with. So discovery, build, hosted cloud support, bot support, and customer success. So we're going to jump right into discovery, and I'm going to hand it over to Peter to talk a little bit about what that means and how we discover RPA and AI automations.
Great. So there's a variety of different ways to do this. One of the things that I have harped on since the beginning is discovery is trying to find those high value, repeatable processes that are not necessarily new, but are more mature processes as a starting point. Over the years, we've used task mining, process mining, done some analysis from a business perspective, looking at efficiencies and things of that nature, applying some Six Sigma approaches to that analysis, using our approach to figure out, okay, what process is worth automating, and what type of technology can we use to implement the process or to build the process. There are a variety of different RPA tools out there. Some are better than others. Some work better than others in different types of use cases. But here at Camtech Software, we're somewhat agnostic to what type of technology we use. We do standardize on UiPath, but that being said, we do use other RPA tools and AI tools. So I mean, if you look at like even intelligent document understanding, there's a variety. There's probably 50 different tools you could use, and there's not one that works great for everything. And it's really trying to figure out, when you're looking at a document, okay, if it's highly structured, maybe I can just use a traditional OCR technique like a TextRact or one of the Google OCR tools. If it's a little bit more complex, maybe Abby is the best fit. If it's highly complex, completely unstructured, then like an Indico is probably the best fit. And that's really the way we look at this. So we look at it from a business problem perspective, and then the technology problem perspective. And the key in this discovery is to understand, have we done this before? Have we worked with the system before? If we have, what type of tools can we use? What type of libraries have we used before? And then going down that way. So, we create process design documents as part of this, which is a living, breathing document throughout the process, both from the discovery phase to development, and finally into support, but really providing a methodology in a way we discover and, build and support. So these processes are repeatable. They're, everyone's on the same page. You're not reinventing the wheel every single time. I like to say, our approach is like McDonald's. It's predictable. You plug and play, which makes it easy to scale, to help our customers scale and help Camtech scale in particular. So yeah, this is a sample PDD or process design document that we create. And just basically what happens here is you're now looking at the processes individually and figuring out what the process will look like when it actually is developed. Gathering the screenshots, getting the rules down, figuring out how many transactions are involved. And those are all important points to drive managed services, because if a bot needs to run, 20,000 transactions in a day, then on Dennis's side, that may mean that there may need to be 5, 6, 7, 8 machines that need to be built and licensing, and then trying to figure out how much support is actually needed on the back end, how much monitoring is needed to be done. So this document really drives the rest of the process. And it's something that, we're all using together and figuring out from a sizing perspective, what type of efforts needed to actually build this thing, what type of support is needed to actually support it on the back end, and from there onward. So I alluded to this in the beginning, a little bit about task mining and process mining. I like to think of process mining as a 30,000-foot view of an organization and looking at transactions and activities that are occurring, over a length of time. You essentially need a lot of data to build process mining. Data has to be in a certain type of format, and really focusing on a specific application or applications or a certain area. We have a process mining tool that works with healthcare claims, and uses the files from the claims itself and mines that data, and we could create a model with it, and then we can figure out, like, okay, where are the claims bogging down within an organization? What type of payers are giving denials, and why are they doing it? What's the turnaround time? And trying to address it more from a high level. Where task mining is more at the desktop level, where you're observing a group of people doing a job or a set of jobs that are very similar over a certain time period. You need about 10,000 transactions or actions to create the task mining study. We found this very useful for organizations that are looking to automate a department, but they're not really sure exactly what part of the process needs to be automated. So both are great. UiPath also has a tool called Task Capture, excuse me, that will capture an individual's activity. So it's really helpful for developing PDDs, but also too, separate from the automation initiative, actually documenting what people are doing on a daily basis for their own internal documentation. So if someone leaves or whatever it might be, excuse me. So all three work. There's also a third tool, or that's fourth tool, that's actually in between task mining and process mining that UiPath is developing at this point and rolling out to customers, which will kind of blend the two approaches together. So one of the things, when we, in the sales process, and also as we move along with the customer, they may have a specific area of an organization they want to automate. So like in healthcare, revenue cycle is always the top of mind. But, once you leave revenue cycle, what other areas are, worthy of automation? Maybe supply chain is worthy of automation. Maybe HR is, maybe IT has some needs. So what we've done with UiPath's help is to create these heat maps, which identify certain areas of organization that are worthy of automation. And this really helps when you think about, we think of this platform or the platforms we're designing as a company as an enterprise solution. It's not just a plug and play point solution. It's something that can be used across the organization, and because it can basically work with any type of application, any type of workflow, and as long as the workflow is valuable and there's sufficient ROI, we can create automations that can serve with that, use that. So this is really my favorite part, and this is really where the IP and the strength of Camtech is building scalable automations. And it's not just simply throwing a few developers on something and coming up with a great PDD and saying, okay, we're done. Company A, go support it. It's really thinking about this from a holistic standpoint, from the discovery point to the building to the supporting. And we've created a custom framework that is part of every single bot we build that essentially allows a developer to, it's a plug and play concept in which we have a set of standards, a set of items that go along with every bot we build. We have an approach, we built these bots so everyone's on the same page. So every single developer, whether they're new to Camtech or they've been here for 5 or 6 years, uses the same approach of building. And what that does is really allows the build, once you're done with the build, to go to support. And the support team knows exactly where to look, where to find things. I mean, they're supporting thousands of bots, right? I mean, if every bot was built differently, it'd be almost impossible to support. So really having that methodology, both from the discovery standpoint to the building standpoint, and then finally in support. And it's all in the eyes of being scalable, because, we're looking at this point, I think in the United States, we have less than 1% penetration of automation RPA, which is pretty crazy. And there's companies we work with, really large companies that are just on the tip of the iceberg of using this technology. But as it grows, it's going to be more and more important to scale, to manage these things on the back end, because you're going to have more bots in production than you're looking to build. And that's what we're seeing right now, is a lot of companies that we're working with, but also companies we're aware of, they have a lot of bots in production at this point, but not really an ability to support them or understanding of them. So that's really where we see a lot of need for Camtech in particular. The other thing I think too, when you look at this slide talking about code standards, with my background as a commercial software developer, we really think of this from a software problem to begin with, and creating those standards. So if traditionally I've been on software development teams where there's the methodology throughout the process, from the development to the building to the ongoing, release structure. And that's the way we have built this company. There's many other companies in our space that are more consulting companies, and they think of it in that manner. We really look at this as a software problem to begin with, and that's why we have these standards in place.
Great. Thank you, Peter, for that overview on build and discovery. And we're going to pass it off to Dennis, our senior DevOps engineer, to talk about hosted managed services.
Thank you, Gretchen. The pizza slide, we call it the pizza problem. So to get into hosted services, I like to look at it from a perspective of why you're doing this, and to elaborate on that, we get into the pizza model. In car customizing circles, it's built versus bought. If I want to make a pizza, it's because I'm passionate about cooking, or maybe I don't know how to cook and I want to learn how to cook, or maybe it's an activity I enjoy with a specific someone, or my spouse. So making pizza requires time, requires effort. Need to go to the store, purchase ingredients, need to make preparations of those ingredients, need to maybe buy a pan to bake the pizza, need to get beverages, beer, wine, maybe even some soda, have to spend electricity to cook the pizza, provide tableware, or if you want to be less fancy, maybe some paper plates and hands. The point is, there's a lot of time and effort, even complexities that go into just enjoying something that you might want to eat. So maybe I'm less passionate about that, and I just want food. So I have options even at that level, depending on what kind of effort and time I want to dedicate to this. I can go to a restaurant, I can sit down, I can take an hour and enjoy a meal and then come home. I don't have to wash any dishes, don't have to do anything other than my time of driving and spending some money to have others do it for me. Maybe I go to a restaurant and I purchase a pizza and I bring it home and I eat there. Or maybe I even go full lazy and I just have it delivered. I never leave my house. The point all goes back to time and effort. And just like my pizza analogy, that's what our hosting model provides. We can do as little or as much, going back to Peter's discussion on the last slide, a true cradle to grave, end-to-end solution. We can support your existing infrastructure on-prem, or we can spin up an entire infrastructure from as small as a single VM and orchestrated server to control that bot and do the automations, or to thousands of VMs and tens of thousands of bots doing activities, as Peter said, and it becomes very, very complex and hard to scale unless you have someone that does it for a living. And that's what we offer. We are people that do this on a day-to-day basis. So just like when you're doing pizza, instead of learning how, if you don't want to, pay someone else that already does it. And that kind of strolls into focus. So when you're on your automation journey, when you're coming up with an automation strategy, you need to know the why. Why are you automating things? The desired result is usually to free up humans so they can do more creative, complex tasks. This allows your human resources to focus on new initiatives, maybe expanding into a new market. And focus, to me, one of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs long time ago is he said, a lot of people think focus is about saying yes. And he said, focus is actually about saying no. It's that finding that one thing you want to accomplish and all of the little distractions that happen along the way, saying, nope, I need to focus on this one thing. So when you're coming up with your automation strategy and you're picking the thing you want to automate or the goal you want to achieve, the IT portion of it it's a cost center. It's not a value add. You're not passionate about learning how to build an infrastructure out so a bot can run, or complex licensing models. So skip all that and let someone else that's already geared towards and experienced and handle that for you, so you can focus on the end result, and that's freeing up humans from doing repetitive tasks that consume a lot of time. Gretchen, can you? Thank you. So going into the environment and what we offer, like I said, we can go as small or as large and complex as the automation strategy requires. But we start out with a security first mindset. We take security very seriously. We are SOC 2 Type 2 certified. We are audited. We are HIPAA compliant. And we partner with companies to increase our security posture and educate our users and our developers. We have channels available internally and externally where we share information. We share phishing emails or different indicators of attack. And so we're very focused and very sensitive to the things that happen in our world and the world around us, and making it a safer place. So when you rely on us, or when you put your faith and trust in us, you're putting it in an organization that takes it as seriously as you do, and sometimes maybe even more. We take it very seriously. So we start off with a private environment. As Peter mentioned, we're agnostic. That includes being cloud agnostic. We do prefer Azure. We create a private virtual network. We host all your VMs in that. We segment the network so QA and testing doesn't touch production. We set up security controls to where nothing accesses production except for admins when necessary, and only egress traffic for the production bot machines goes to the orchestration server, whichever signals the job to run, whether that be UiPath or Automation Anywhere or what have you. We patch automated patching schedules, as one of my favorite security consultants, Paul Ducklin, the Duck from Sophos, he says, patch early and patch often. So we set up schedules on a weekly basis that goes out and does automated patch orchestration for the QA and development environments. And then once those patches have been applied, we have testing strategies. And those testing strategies are coordinated to do basic sanity checks all the way up to regression to make sure none of the automations have been broken. And then when we have proven that, we'll deploy that to the production environment. So we keep things patched, we keep things secure. The connections to that private environment only happen through VPNs. From a developer and admin perspective, we utilize point-to-site VPNs that rely on Entra ID as a identity provider. So we're using a third party to ensure that the authenticity of the account is legit. And we also enforce MFA, and not just MFA, but device MFA, which is time-based one-time password. So it's not SMS or email or anything like that. So you have to go through all those just to get into the environment. We do not allow any public access whatsoever, except for on the things like the orchestration servers that have a web-based GUI or a web portal for seeing automations or metrics, things like that. And then as far as the bots and the automations, the target applications that they're automating, that's usually either a website via like Care First or some like Bank of America or what have you. If anything is on-prem, we prefer a site-to-site VPN. That site-to-site VPN gives the administrator from the on-premise network, your company, the greatest amount of control to limit and inspect the ingress traffic into their network. We find that a better solution versus going through and, let's say, you spinning up a VM and or provisioning Active Directory accounts for our developers or our admins to get onto your network. That usually requires many hoops and lots of paperwork, versus it's much easier for us to get an approval to say we want 443 traffic from this entity to this entity between these hours. It is the safest solution for everyone, and it keeps a lot of unnecessary complexity out of the process, which again goes back to the pizza model. You're trying to reduce your level of effort in business and freeing up resources. So why further complicate that by adding these guards and these processes that take an enormous amount of time to get approved, versus just say, hey, CampTech, do this for me. It's another acronym I love, SEP, S-E-P, someone else's problem. Take this off my plate. So we go through the site-to-site VPN to get on-prem traffic. And sorry, lost my train of thought there. Scalability. So basically, at the end of the day, once we get connectivity established, then from there, we make sure that all the VMs are backed up on a regular basis, and we back up on daily, 30 days of retention, and we test. So we make sure that we have a BCDR for your environment that not only helps us, but helps you. So we make sure that it's always available with the SLA level that you select. I think that's all I have.
Great.
I could probably talk for another hour. But
Yeah.
let's not do that.
Yeah.
No worries. Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate the overview. It was really helpful, certainly informative. And I'm going to be taking on the last two topics in our managed services wheel, that is support and as well and customer success. So support at CampTech Software is a really crucial piece of your automation success. We found that automations that go into production without support tend to fail pretty quickly given UI changes or pop-ups that might occur. And those are just smaller case needs outside of the larger technical needs that our teams are fielding. So once you do go into support, I also want to note that you're not losing your grasp of your automation or the process. You still own all of these materials. Your team is still available to you by way of your customer success representative, but you will be moving into a new phase that we will talk about today. So with support with CampTech Software, we do have two options, one being our standard support. So Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. standard business hours. Our team of support developers will be watching your automations to ensure that they've run effectively and the technology is working. And I do want to recommend as you're going through your sales cycle, your discussions with your teams about what your automation will be doing and the processes that it'll be completing, that you discuss when you want these automations to run. Because oftentimes we find that bots, the recommended, or excuse me, the preferred time for bots to be running is before the human teams come into the office, or maybe you want them running over the weekend to pick up any backlog work. In which case, I want to highly recommend getting the 24/7, 365 support, where our global team of support developers will be watching your automations and making sure that there are no major impacts on the business needs. So there are three ways to get in touch with our support team once you do get into support, and your customer success and project manager will be able to walk you through these options. But we do have a support portal where you can log in, submit tickets, track your tickets. I highly recommend using the portal. It's just a one-stop shop for all things support. We also have an email. So if portal is not your thing, you're welcome to email us. They all aggregate into our same ticketing system. And we do also have a form on our website that you can complete.
And I'll also add, we have a phone number.
And a phone number.
So you always have someone to call.
Yes, and if you can't, or if you don't feel comfortable using any of those, or if you can't get through to us via phone, or maybe you've submitted a ticket and want to escalate it in some way, you can always reach out to our customer success team. You'll be assigned a customer success representative. So it might be Amy, it might be myself, it might be another member of the team assisting you and kind of walking your human teams through the support process. We're also available to continue having conversations as your automation ideas expand. We're constantly available to go over the technology, et cetera. So please do reach out to us in any capacity that you would like to. So we always like to wrap up our webinars with the CampTech Advantage. There are many things that we went over today that are major advantages, not only for using CampTech software, but for assisting your teams in building RPA automations and the utilization of AI to automate your processes. So one being you own your automation. Any of the work that CampTech software does based on your agreement, you own that work. So should you want to take your automations in-house or build your own center of excellence, you're welcome to do that, and we will hand all of those materials over to you at the appropriate time. Support, of course, like we just went over, a major and very crucial part of the automation cycle. And we support in-house so that your teams don't have to worry about the day-to-day movement of your automations. Hosting, like Dennis said, can be a huge lift for your IT teams in terms of learning or expanding, on top of all of the other internal work that they're all doing. So hosting is a large component of the Camtech advantage. And then learning, your customer success team is always available to expand your understanding of automation, both in RPA and AI, to meet with your teams to go over what their automations are doing, review process design documents, etc. And then, of course, as today's presentation entails, managed services is a huge part. So collectively, all of the items that we went over today is part of the automation package that Camtech offers. And we would love for you to take full advantage of those services. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you do have any questions, you can reach out to our sales team at sales@camtechsoftware.com. We also have a contact us form on our website. Or if you've worked with any of us before in the past on automations, you're welcome to reach out to us directly.